Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the iRacing experimental season. This week we are in the Kia Optima GTS race car at the Mount Panorama circuit, the craziest track in iRacing, if you ask me. The Kia Optima is a interesting car. It is front-wheel drive, turbocharged, set up for the Pirelli World Challenge Series. It has virtually no setup options. This is it. This is the only things you can do to this car. So it's nearly a spec car, similar to how the Miata is. Actually, I think there's more adjustment in the Miata than there is in this car. So it does make for a pretty balanced, field. But this is a qualify during the weekend type of series, so we need to get out there and start putting in some laps around this crazy, crazy circuit. So, front-wheel drive race cars. They're an interesting breed. Not something I have a whole lot of experience with, either in real life or in sim racing. I would say the closest experience I have to sim racing front-wheel drive cars, a little bit in Live for Speed, a very little bit. The closest would probably be Race 07, which pretty much has the WTCC, yes, two C's, and we've wrecked already. That is Mount Panorama. Now, I can't do that too much because these do count against me in the safety rating, so I probably should just calm down a little bit here and just try and get a lap in. Let me let these guys go. Alright. Yeah, okay. Let me get out all of the things I want to talk about here on the warm-up lap. See, the front-wheel drive cars are interesting in the way that they tend to be very oversteery on braking and on corner entry, lift off of the throttle, and then you have to use the throttle. Pretty good example right there. Use the throttle to straighten the car out. The force feedback on this car is very strong, and that is due to the fact with the drive in the front wheels, you're getting a lot of feedback through the front. You get not only the bumps in the track, the load of the suspension, the load of the tires. You're also getting the pull of the engine directly through the steering wheel, basically. So as I, put my foot to the floor coming out of some of these turns, it pretty much wants to yank the wheel straight. So it's a very physical experience driving this car. And on top of that, the crazy nature of this circuit. And it's an interesting experience. Dang it! Well, this is not good at all. Unfortunately, it looks like I'm only going to get one flying lap here in qualifying. So I'm going to have to make it count and not push too hard. Not that I really am overly worried about it. There's only 12 cars here, and yeah, I don't want to be starting too far up front anyway. Because I certainly not particularly comfortable with this car or this track yet. So we'll just let it be what it is and experience it. That's all I wanted to do, was experience this car on this track.
All clear, all clear.
That's what we're trying for. This is an early morning session, I believe, which is much different than the conditions in practice. So I'm noticing a pretty significant reduction in grip versus practice. Nice little run up the hill here, though. Easy spot to screw up. Taking it very easy through there. Lighten up them front tires. Gonna be a lot of that. Really good run through there. You're gonna be fighting it. It's just constantly pulling you around all over the track. And then through here, back into the car, gets very unsettled. Right there, you gotta turn in, and you don't even see the apex of the turn. You gotta turn into the wall, basically. That was a pretty easy run through there. Nothing Nothing too try-hardy about that. Again, this is the only lap I'm gonna get, so gotta make it count. There's checkered flag. Long run down the straight here. A tight chicane. Pretty good lap. After a pretty disastrous start to qualifying. Well, let's make it through the last turn before we start saying that, huh? There we go. Nice and easy. Not too bad. 2:15 flat. Actually, my best lap here yet. Good enough for 8th place. Here we go for a standing start.
Green, green, green.
There we go. I expected it to just like spin up the tires, but it didn't. A little bit of stack up into one. I think everyone's going to be pretty patient with each other. Pretty unanimously car or driver versus track here, not driver versus driver. Just got to try and stay out of each other's way, basically. This car likes to sit on the red line. It's a rever. For a turbo car, it doesn't have a whole lot of bottom end. Here's a big stack up here as we start to get into the tighter section. Field staying pretty tight together. Track is so narrow though. There's only so much you can do when it comes to like actually making moves and stuff. Get one off to the right. I think I'm on the brake more than the gas. 0 you can do here. Okay, here's one off. And that worked out pretty well for me.
Oh man, we got one stopped up ahead. Go right.
He disconnected just in time, and I just revved the crap out of this engine to try and get it to slow down. We'll see if it holds together for the race. It does, you know, add up, that damage you do to the engine. This has been just as crazy as expected. I do love the gearbox in this car, though. It's got a very nice, precise sequential. It's not one of the ones you really gotta fiddle with. Whoa, okay, a little too much curb there.
2:25.052.
This is, if I can spit out the thought here, this is the first time on this track with other cars. In practice, I was all by myself. Not a very popular series. Maybe just at this track, I'm not sure. Figured to be popular with, you know, the big endurance race is this weekend. It's been in the news a lot because there's been some really violent crashes this weekend in qualifying and some of the support races. Which you should be able to see why that would happen now. This place is nuts. And this is half the car of a V8 supercar. Though I think it may handle worse. It may have less overall grip. And it's not a slouch. It's still got some power. I'm not used to that. I'm not used to the on-throttle understeer. It can be pretty fun, though. Yeah, stay off the walls. If you just even brush the wall there, The way the damage model is in this game, you might as well just quit, because it's going to be game over. It'll knock your wheel in and knock your car out of alignment in a hurry. Big draft here. Look at that, 165 miles an hour. This car is not slow. Really good brakes, too. Really good brakes. I almost wonder if it has ABS modeled. I'm not sure. Doesn't sound or feel like it, but be very aggressive with the brakes and get pretty much no lockup, which is really nice.
2 minutes 15.744.
These guys are all faster than me. I'm just sticking with them because of the stack up. Get a little bit of the draft pulling the group together, and just the lack of room to pass anybody makes it so you can't go anywhere, even if you are faster. And then you get moves like that that really stack up the field. And I just sit here waiting, lurking for the mistakes. This is a 25-minute race. If I didn't say that, I may not have. Usually it seems to be playing out to be a 12-lap race. Lost the rear end a little bit on the brakes there. It was it was not fun. Much like a rear-wheel drive car where you gotta use the throttle when that happens to, like, pull the car out of the slide. In a rear-wheel drive car, you're really, when you're getting the gas, you're like unloading the differential to get it to stop wheel hopping. In this car, you're almost like pulling the car forward to get it to straighten out. Same end result, just different ways to do it. Got a big gap behind us, so if I can just hang to the back of this lead group, I'd be pleased. I'd be very pleased. That really showed the brakes, because that was deeper than I should have been and way hard on the brakes. By far my best lap ever here. It's amazing what just getting to follow someone around can do for your laps. They don't have to tell you anything. You can just pick up on what their markers are, and it will instantly make you drive better. Do I sound more tense than usual? Because I should. Oh, a little slow up the hill here. That's gonna hurt me. Field is starting to spread out now, which is not good for me. It means these guys can actually show their speed. Trying to get a little ballsier down into there. Stacked us up a little bit, but yeah, they're still pretty spread out now. Deep breaths. As you go through the mountain section, there's not a whole lot of breathing going on. Car really squirming under the brakes there, but it's just fine, you know, you just let it do it. Another really good lap there. 13.7. Jeebus, that's faster than I've ever run. If you had told me 2 hours ago when I was practicing that I could do 13.7, I would have said you're a crazy person. Trying to brake much earlier than I even need to, because I've got no pressure behind me. And it really cuts down on the amount of mistakes you can make here. It's definitely the turn I seem to be losing the most time at. Boy, that section, I wish you could... I really wish you could feel the steering wheel's movements through that section. You can really understand the difference between this car and the rear-wheel drive cars. It's been a long time since that Miata race here, but I still remember it being much different. Way deep out of there, so I'm gonna lose time down the straight here. Pretty sure this is like the Conrad Straight or something like that. Something to that effect. This is where one of the big incidents was this weekend. I can get some really good runs out of this turn. A little bit more traffic ahead of us now. 2:14 flat. Deep, very deep. Recovered. I'm still saying my best lap is a 2:15.0 when I just ran a 2:14. That's weird. Disregard that. Either it's not updating or I'm reading wrong and I didn't actually run a 13.7. And you knew. It was a little better. Front tires seem like they're suffering a little bit now. Lots of throttle input. This could be it for us. Yep. How bad is it? Lots of engine damage, lots of suspension damage. That's how quickly it happens here. This could be it for us. Yep. He hasn't called us in yet, but I assume it's going to. Really? No black flag? It's gonna let me carry on like this, huh? Can I actually drive it like this is the question. I don't know, it's super slow. 23 seconds is not a ton of gap to try and hold this position. I'm just driving okay through here. Wheels a little off. Yeah, what the hell, we'll try it. What's the worst that can happen, right?
7.
Fully expected that to happen at some point in the race. I would need probably another 4 or 5 hours of practice to feel comfortable enough to not do stuff like that here. But that's part of the appeal to the experimental season. It's just trying new things, not necessarily putting the full week's effort into it that I usually do. I think I might cross this one off on things I might try for next season, though. If for nothing else, but for the fact that it's just not very popular. It was difficult to drive before. Now it's really difficult to drive. I went back and forth with the brake bias, trying to get rid of the oversteer on the entry down the hill here. And every time I went forward with the brake bias, all it did was ruin the rest of the lap. So it would constantly be tight. Okay, apparently that's off track. Keep that in mind. Still maintaining gap pretty well behind us. You can't hit at the wall anymore, though. This is not how the steering wheel should be. I'm really surprised this thing's still driving at all. I hit the wall much softer than that in practice and was getting black flagged and told that I had to fit because the car was undrivable. So this is quite a shock. Maybe they're more lenient with that in the race too.
2 minutes 20.5.
About 5 seconds a lap slower. Alright, well, I would say unless something really interesting or dramatic happens, I'll probably cut through this part and get to the end. If I can continue to maintain the gap like I am now, it's going to be pretty boring to the end. But we'll see. Well, it appears that somebody in front of us is wrecked, so now we're up to 5th place.
839.
Yay! Still just kind of trudging along, turning basically the same lap times every lap. That's all it has left. Maybe we'll get some more, though. Alright, well, I'll bring you back in for the white flag lap here. Still sitting in 5th place.
Got about 2 laps left on fuel.
I have about 2 laps left of fuel, so calculated that about right. Don't think I'm in any immediate danger of the 10 car catching us. Really, the car is... it drives much slower, obviously, but much more gentlemanly with its damage. I think it put like a ton of toe in the front of it. So it's pretty understeery everywhere, which is pretty easy to drive. Just have to go slow. Which is pretty easy when you're down on horsepower. Never really understood that model. I mean, I understand it's a pretty simplistic damage model, but they just do it like, okay, you hit the wall, now you're down 50% power. Okay, that's not usually how this works. If you hit the wall enough to cause the engine damage, you've probably done something pretty dramatic. You could knock every end of a car off and the engine would be like, what's up? Why am I going faster? I've tried to throw it away here a couple times. But yeah, like I said, it's just not something they've ever really put a whole lot of emphasis in. And it works fine. Works really well when you don't try to knock down the wall. If this race was any longer, they would have got here. gonna be down about 4 seconds by the end. I was not pushing too terribly hard either. Just trying to cruise it on home. Cruising on home at 150 miles an hour in a car that's driving completely crooked. And wanders all over the place on brakes. Would have been interesting if we'd been able to stay up with those guys, though. I think it would have been interesting. It was still interesting. This is one of those tracks that's just really fun just to drive. Turn, please. Thank you. Across the line, less than 4 seconds. Boy, they would have got there with probably one more lap.
Just like this time by.
Alright, well, let's take a look at what happened. Here I was trying. But the back end had just carried so much momentum. Any better angles? Here we go, this ought to illustrate it pretty well. So you come up over the hill here. I usually start braking right about the sign. It's actually earlier than that. Just the whole time the back end was unsettled. I think you can probably see, if my mouse will wake up, probably see somewhere right about, yeah, right about there you see there's a big bobble. There's actually like a little crest in the track. That'll really send it a-flying. But hey, you know what? 5th place in a race where I was ranked 6th. Guess I'm pretty happy with that. And I guess that'll cover it for the Kia Cup at the Mount Panorama Circuit. A little bit, well, not exactly the result we wanted, but it's part of the experimental season. We're going to keep trying things and see, you know, what the whole scheme of iRacing is like. I think next week we'll probably bounce back into oval racing. Not 100% sure. I haven't scoped it out just yet, so stay tuned for that. Thanks as always for watching, and I will see you next time. Tough one here. Let's go down to 2nd. That was better. A little bit of that ditch. Still early, but overall this run feels much cleaner. We're at about the 1/3 mark.